We have to run D.C. This has to be the best run place in the country, not the worst run place in the country. And it has so much potential, and we're going to take care of it. You're going to be safe. You're going to be safe walking down streets. You're not going to get mugged.
President Donald Trump on August 6th said that he may use the National Guard to police the streets of Washington, D.C., and a White House official said federal law enforcement would increase its presence in the city this week.
Taking over the D.C. police, is that an option on the table?
We're considering it, yeah, because the crime is ridiculous. I could show you a chart comparing D.C. to other locations, and you're not going to want to see what it looks like. It was just up on television, actually, they were showing it. Now, we want to have a great, safe capital, and we're going to have it. And that includes cleanliness and it includes other things. We have a capital that's very unsafe. You know, we just almost lost a young man, beautiful, handsome guy that got the hell knocked out of him the night before last. And I'm going to call him now. We wanted to give him a little recovery time. We just put a call into him. They're calling back in a little while, but he went through a bad situation, to put it mildly, and there's too much of it. We're gonna do something about it. So whether you call it federalize or what, and that also includes the graffiti that you see, the papers all over the place, the roads that are in bad shape, the medians that are falling down, the median in between roads that's falling down. We're gonna beautify the city. We're gonna make it beautiful, and what a shame. The rate of crime, the rate of muggings, killings, and everything else, we're not going to let it. And that includes bringing in the National Guard, maybe very quickly, too.
The president said lawyers are looking into overturning the D.C. Home Rule Act, which, among other things, allows the District of Columbia to elect its local government.
We're going to look at that. In fact, the lawyers are already studying it. We have to run D.C. This has to be the best run place in the country, not the worst run place in the country. And it has so much potential, and we're going to take care of it. You're going to be safe. You're going to be safe walking down streets. You're not going to get mugged.
The threat and the move to follow through on it are the latest steps by Trump and his administration toward taking over running the city that serves as the seat of the US government. However, this wouldn't be the first time that the Trump administration has deployed the National Guard in Washington. After protests in the wake of George Floyd's murder in 2020, some of which turned violent, National Guard troops were brought in, despite opposition from Bowser. The president's threat to take over DC came after a former member of the Department of Government Efficiency was injured in an attempted carjacking over the weekend.
By the way, I have to say that somebody from DOGE was very badly hurt last night. You saw that. A young man who was beat up by a bunch of thugs in D.C. And either they're going to straighten their act out in the terms of government and in terms of protection, or we're going to have to federalize and run it the way it's supposed to be run.
The former DOGE staffer whose assault led to Trump's remarks is Edward Corristine, a 19-year-old nicknamed Big Balls. Corristine worked for the General Services Administration, GSA, where he was granted access to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services payment data until his resignation in June, as NPR has reported. According to a Metropolitan Police Department or MPD incident report shared with NPR, Corristine was standing with a woman near his car in an area of Logan Circle, a neighborhood in northwest DC, around 3 a.m. on August 3rd, when he was attacked by a group of approximately 10 juveniles.
He saw the suspects approach and make a comment about taking the vehicle. At that point, for her safety, he pushed his significant other into the vehicle and turned to deal with the suspects. The suspects then began to assault Corristine.
Most of the suspects fled on foot as patrolling police arrived, though the MPD said officers arrested 2 of them, both 15 years old, at the scene and charged them with unarmed carjacking. MPD also said Corristine was treated at the scene for injuries sustained in the assault. In a Truth Social post on August 5th, Trump wrote that crime in DC is totally out of control, alleging that teenagers are randomly attacking, mugging, maiming, and shooting innocent citizens, and calling for the teens to be prosecuted as adults. The attack gave new fuel to long-standing Republican efforts to challenge Washington's autonomy, with Trump threatening to bypass local authority and impose direct federal control over the city. Washington, D.C. is home not only to the seat of the federal government, but to over 700,000 residents, according to 2024 census data. It's also overwhelmingly blue. Trump only won about 4% of the D.C. vote in 2016 and less than 7% in 2024. In recent years, Trump has been a vocal critic of the city, calling it filthy and crime-ridden, horribly run, and a nightmare of murder and crime. But Trump can't single-handedly make good on his threat of federalizing the district. Congress passed the Home Rule Act in 1973 in the wake of the Civil Rights Movement. It gave DC residents more control over their affairs, such as the right to elect a mayor and city council members, but maintained congressional oversight over things like the city's budget and legislation. To change that, Congress would need to overturn Home Rule. And that could be politically challenging, since Senate Democrats would theoretically be able to block such legislation through the filibuster. Even so, two Republicans, Senator Mike Lee and Representative Andy Ogles, introduced such bills in February. George Derek Musgrove, a history associate professor at the University of Maryland, told NPR,
Trump cannot do this himself. However, Congress under Republicans has proved more than willing to do this for him if he asks for it. So it is within the realm of possibility.
But Musgrove also questions how much Trump really wants the federal government to be tasked with the minutiae of city governance, like trash pickups and filling potholes, especially since he can exert power over local government in other ways.